All right, so we go into the section. So this would be episode part 3. I gave y'all episode 1. That was the origin story. I just called it the origin story. I got to get these naming conventions, but y'all know how I do it. So the naming convention, episode 1, I brought in him walking in. Then you got episode 2, part 1 and part 2. So this is episode 3 of the Willie Earl origin story. The town, while Willie Earl in Scandinavia, because remember, Scandinavia is a black woman. She might be able to pass for white. She looks white. So you're going to see different videos. I'm trying to play around with the source stuff. They don't let you do certain, I'm walking around it. So you're going to see her look, sometimes you're going to see her look a little darker or whatever like that. But just understand, this is a sister. At heart, she's a sister, but she got the twang of a southern white woman. So she got a code switch. But in her heart, she's a black woman. That's in her heart. So when you look at her, don't get her confused with when you looking at him like, oh, he's with a white woman or whatever. To society, she's white. Now the inmates probably know that she might got something in her, as they say, the one drop, quantum blood law, all that bullshit. So you know that the warden's daughter is Scandinavia. They nickname her Scandy. So Warden will call her Scandy. Willie Earl will call her Scandy. Now the inmates, some of them might call her Scandy, the black ones, but they know that she's supposed to be Lieutenant Scandinavia or Sergeant Scandinavia. I think Lieutenant, whatever. She's not like the head of the guard. She's like the lower end of the guards, but she's Lieutenant or I'm trying to think. Is a sergeant? I think a sergeant got more power than a lieutenant. Damn. Anyway, she's a lead. She's one of them. But she's not the top one. It's her dad, and then it's a lieutenant or a sergeant, and then it's her as a lieutenant, or whatever they call them police. So they get real close. Now I was saying the warden was kind of letting them have like conjugals once he found out. That wasn't there's a piece missing where the warden was kind of upset at first, because that's his daughter. He's knowing she's black, but he's still kind of looking at her like, man, this is a white woman that you fraternizing with to a certain degree. But the warden knows that Scandy likes Willie Earl, so far as them just talking and flirting. But now he finds out that they going around it, but at the same time, he's not really going to punish Willie Earl, because Willie Earl, he'd much rather her try to pass white. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to kind of go into the story of Scandinavia coming up. We got to break off into another origin story now. So we'll get back to that in a minute. So the first time they sneak out, Scandy, she comes by, because remember, she's in the shop. She's flirting with Willie Earl. Willie Earl is, she's walking up to Willie Earl. She's bringing him food. The warden ain't got, I forgot what name I gave him. I got to give him another name. I'm just going to call him the warden right now. The warden, he knows that Willie Earl is getting food and stuff like that. He ain't got no problem with that. I mean, this Willie Earl, man. Willie Earl making a lot of money for the warden. And so Willie, she knows he likes collard green cornbread. And so, that threw Willie Earl off a little bit, because you got to think, when Willie Earl first looked at her, she looked like a white woman. Like, this is a white woman. This is like, she looked like a white woman. But sometimes, like all black folks know, when we got to ask or we got to kind of look a little bit, then we know that you black. If we got to kind of ask or we just got to kind of do like this, like, man, are you know what I'm saying? If we got to do that, then we know you got something in you. I remember in high school one time, there was this one girl. She looked like a straight white one, and she used to like me. And I wasn't really into them like that, but I'm looking at her like, and I must have asked her, but she, she sounds white. Like, she didn't sound like she grew up around black folk. But I asked her, and I looked at her one day. I said, what is you? She said, she didn't say, I'm a human being like the City movie, but she said, I'm black. And I'm like, you know, cause if you were to look at her, you gonna be like, cause she looked like a white girl. But you looking at her like, okay, no, you got something. And she told me, she said, so she was mixed. She just came out real high yellow. That's all. Real high yellow. So, you know, and you could tell she took her mama's features or her daddy white. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but she told me, she said, I'm black. And she kind of liked me a little bit, but I'm still kind of looking at her like, man, you look like, you know, but she used to try to like holler at me. And I think because I wasn't really attracted to white girls like that to that degree. I mean, it was a couple in school that looked, you know, but that wasn't really my thing. You know what I'm saying? But she told me, she said, you know, I'm a sister. Like, I know who I am, you know, like, you know, so, but she kind of looked like that. Like she could pass. Cause I used to always, I see her with the white girls and stuff. And I used to always see her and, you know, she looked like she passes, which she was, but she didn't, you know, she didn't hide it. Like when I asked, I said, man, are you? And she said, yeah, you know, my daddy black or her daddy was white or so. I think her daddy was black. I don't know, but she looked real. So that's how Scandy looks. So Willie Earl was being cautious at first because he's still looking at her like a white woman. He doesn't quite know just yet that that's the warden's daughter. At this point he doesn't know. So I might have said it in another other video, but like I said, y'all, I'm freestyling this shit. I'm going off like I'm doing this shit like Papoose and Mad Skills. Y'all know who Mad Skills is? I'm doing this like them. I'm doing this freestyle. So Willie Earl is a little hesitant because he knows what he feels like these ramifications. Around that about that time, you mess with a white woman in Mississippi, man, you might end up found somewhere. But he's in prison. It's not like they're gonna string him up. But, you know, so, but they could. This is the Jim Crow South. So she's coming around. Now the other white guards, they find with Willie so much as he can deliver something that they want. But now you talking to this white woman, see, the guards don't know. And any guards that may know that his daughter ain't gonna say nothing because they gonna get fired. But Willie's kind of looking at her like, man, you know, but she's like right when she kind of seen, she had been looking at Willie Earl over time. And then after a while, when she started talking to Willie Earl, she was like, man, she didn't hold back at all because she felt like she really couldn't get punished. So she's flirting with Willie Earl. Willie Earl's kind of holding back. He's a little nervous a little bit. And she's kind of telling Willie Earl, you know, like, I kind of like you, Willie Earl. Like she starts bringing, you know, she knows that to a man's heart is his stomach, you know. So she's bringing him good food and all that. And then Willie's still kind of looking like, and she said, man, you baby, relax, Willie Earl. You know, I'm not going to do you nothing. I'm not going to do anything to you. And he's like, well, woman, you know, you going to get me in some trouble around here. And so she was.
Evening, Willie. Saved you a plate before the fellas got to it.
It was like, you know, eventually she's kind of like, okay, what kind of trouble you talking about? He said, I don't want no, she said, I don't want that kind of trouble. You might get me in some real trouble. She said, I want that trouble. So now she really flirting with Willie Earl. Willie Earl kind of blushing and stuff. And he's like, woman, you don't start nothing you can't finish now. She said, well, I'm trying to finish y'all. I want all the trouble. I want Willie Earl, every bit of trouble Willie Earl got. So she just laying it on thick on Willie Earl. Willie Earl.
I want all the trouble you got.
I don't want no harm coming.
Won't be done.
How you figure?
Because I said so. Never let a hair on your head go harmed.
Like, well, all right now, you know, well, you know, hey, hold on, slow down, Scandy, slow down. She said, oh, I'm Scandy now, so you done picked up my nicknames. He's like, yeah. He said, well, I call people the nicknames that I like. How about that? So now she blushing. She like, cause she gets love Willie Earl. She's been crushing on Willie Earl ever since she's been seeing Willie Earl. You know, the first episode, the first origin story, Scandinavia wasn't hired. She wasn't around. She came later. As within them 2 years of him rising to power. That was another power move on the warden to, you bring a woman into prison to kind of bring a little bit of the stress down. Guys might flirt a little bit, do this, a little bit of that. You know, ain't nobody really playing with Scandy like that. They ain't getting too smart with Scandy because they know, you know what I'm saying? They kind of know that the warden takes a liking to her. So, you know, like, but he's still trying to keep it under wraps that this is I don't want everybody to know this is my child. But he treats her like it's his child. You know what I'm saying? In front of everybody. But he just don't maybe say that. But he, you know, everybody could tell that the warden is sweet on his daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, he's sweet on Scandy. But they don't know that that's his daughter, especially knowing that that's his daughter by a black woman. So they're keeping that under wraps to a certain degree. Now, Willie Earl kind of finds out as he's talking to Scandy. Scandy starts saying words that a black woman would say. So that's when Willie Earl starts to suspect. And I guess he must have asked her. He said, Scandy, you...
Black and mighty proud of it.
Yeah, I see it.
Mama used to put that hot comb on me, sit me right in that kitchen chair. Tell us about Pawpaw. Tell us what he's seen, what he survived. Tell us where we come from.
That's why you stand like that.
Ain't shame in where you come from.
No, ain't none at all.
And so Scandy felt like she could trust Willie Earl. Willie Earl's a man of honor. He ain't no nigga that's gonna be going around gossiping and just telling, well, yeah, man, I know this, and me and Scandy went. He ain't telling none of that kind of stuff. Willie Earl found out, okay, the warden your daddy. So Willie Earl already knows what the story is. He ain't even got to ask. Yeah, your daddy done had a little side mistress or something. He had a little taste of some chocolate on the side, and he's open white supremacist during the day. You know what I'm saying? That's the typical damn story. That's the Sally Hemings story with was it not Andrew Jackson, Hamilton, or what? One of the slave owning presidents, man. It was the same story. They got their white wife and they got a mistress on the side because they want them some chocolate. The vanilla just ain't messing with the chocolate. So that's what they want. They want the chocolate. They want the vanilla on the front end of the cone, and on the bottom of the cone, when it gets dark at night, they want them some chocolate. You know, that's what they want. They want some caramel. That's typical white American story around that time. Segregated in the day and integrated as hell at night. So Willie Earl, he's talking to everybody. So now that makes her feel a little closer to Willie Earl. She feels like, Willie Earl knows my little secret. And so she's talking, and then now she's coming by the shop more often. Now, some of the guards and other people kind of noticing this. Some of the inmates, they hating is normal, but they can't really come into the shop unless Willie sends them to go get something. So Willie has his team, as I mentioned. As y'all seen the last one, he got the dream team. So the dream team is these dudes. He got about 15 dudes, and then, eventually he starts recruiting. So now, like I say, Willie Earl is implementing his policy, but now he's doing it in a way where the more people he's recruiting and coming into the shop, he's bringing other prisoners and inmates on different wings. Remember, whatever Willie says goes. Willie is damn near like an assistant warden up in this joint. If Willie says, hey, there's a little young guy, they might hear about him getting bullied, this, that, and the third. Willie could get him transferred to his wing. Willie could actually get a predator transferred to another wing, and Willie could get the young dude who's being taken advantage to his wing, because Willie's implementing a boxing gym as well. So, like I say, and then now Willie's getting to the point where Willie's saying, if anything happens to me, Benjamin, you enforce the same law of justice as policy in this prison, which means you may have to bend the rules of policy, which your life is going to be in danger. If something happens to me, you teach these guys these tools. You show them how to use these weapons. You show them how to defend themselves, so we can have some kind of law of justice in this damn madhouse, because half of us ain't going home. So he's using Benjamin as a contingency plan. And he's telling Benjamin, if something happened to you, you need to have a young dude with a righteous heart that has the spirit of Willie Earl. You see what I'm saying? So we'll get into that too. I'll show you some images of that too. So Scandinavia, she's coming by. She's flirting with Willie Earl all the time. Scandinavia likes to cook. That's another telltale sign. Willie Earl could go to the kitchen. So one day he's watching Scandinavia make some collard greens. And he's looking kind of like, who these collard greens for? Because, the inmates, they don't always get the collard greens. I mean, the cook is a black cook, so he gonna cook. They in Mississippi, so they gonna be doing some serious cooking. But this day they got the collard greens, and she said, hey, Billy Joe, or they might have two names. Billy Joe, let me work on them collard greens. So now she goes and she starts stirring the pot.
Sunday at my grandma's, don't it? Let them neck bones talk to the greens, slow and low. Keep them onions steady, Harlan. Greens don't need tears.
Yes, ma'am.
Needs a touch of vinegar. That'll stick to their ribs good.
Willie Earl looking. And she just talking casually with the inmates. You know, Scandinavia is real cool. Like I say, if you looking at her like she's a white woman, I mean, she really on her Rachel Dolezal shit. Like she, if you seen her, you be like this old white woman, but she cooked just like a black woman. You like, how the hell you cook just like a black woman? All her mannerisms is niggerish. And, you know, it kind of throws you for a loop because you're looking at her and then you hear her talk and she could code switch on and off and she could just do it smooth. Like she could just start saying some nigga shit, then go white and go back to black and white, black. And then, you know, so it'll throw you off a little bit. And she's good at it. So she's cooking the collard greens. Willie just sitting there watching it. And he's like, man, this white woman know how to cook some collard greens. So, you know, that's before she got the, you know, he got the secret. So y'all gonna see this joint might have about 50 videos for this. I'm gonna go in on a lot because I really want to paint the picture. So they getting closer and closer. She's coming by, you know, and then now at this point, you know, the warden is like, you know, you seen the like Willie Earl and this, that, and kind of stuff. So Willie warden says, you know, don't let her, you know, don't let this throw off your game.
Willie, you stay on your game, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
This carburetor running smoother than last week.
Adjusted the mixture screws, sir. Clean the fuel line,
Scandy,
too.
fix him some more sweet talent with motors. Don't waste it. Understand?
I understand.
This tea sweet enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Ain't it sweet, I'm gonna be on you.
Because, you know, a lot of times once women get involved, you know, sometimes dudes get to slacking and not, you know, not focusing on their goal and making sure shit's doing what it's supposed to do. And so, you know, the warden just kind of letting them know, like, you know, so the warden goes off. Scandy and Willie is talking and stuff, and you know, Scandy's still laying it on thick. Now, it gets to a point now, like I said, warden hasn't found out just yet about them, but she sneaks Willie outside. She comes up to the cell. Her keys is jingling a little bit. She's got to quiet the keys. So the guards, or not the guards, but she probably told a guard to go check on something. You know, because she could tell the guards what to do. She's not the top guard, but her daddy's the warden. You know what I'm saying? So she feels like I can just tell these niggas, I can tell the guards whatever the fuck they gonna do because the warden put her in charge. She's not the top guard, but under the warden, if you do something that Scandy don't like, she could just tell the warden. And the warden's gonna rain hell on you. So everybody in the prison knows that. So Scandy kind of walks around the prison. She probably shouldn't, but she's walking around the prison sometimes. She'll go see Willie Earl. A lot of the guys will be locked down. The only people to be out is people that are doing work and washing clothes or mopping and sweeping. So she sends the guards out. The guards like, hey, you sure, Scandy? You know, you going down there? You know, you don't need no. So Scandy suspects that the guards know. So Scandy tells the guard, you know, mind your business. Go down there and do what I tell you to do. So the guards kind of just, you know, they want to say something. You know, this B probably telling me what to do or whatever. And her, you know, but they know not to do that. They know that. So she sends them off. She's walking down the tier. So Willie Earl, Willie Earl's real hypersensitive. Now, we haven't really got into Willie Earl and his abilities, but that smelled like Scandy.
Smells like Scandy. Lord, that woman smells good.
Now, she's way down the tier. She's walking down the tier, but see, these are little abilities that we gonna kind of wean y'all in. Willie is he's getting some of his powers and his abilities, but he don't really know what's going on. But he gets every bit of that woman smell good from the ass crack to the neck. So that smell like Scandy. He said, He can smell everything about her. He can smell like he, you know what I'm saying? He's a werewolf. He can smell her. So he's smelling and he's like, her ass smell good. Her neck smell good. Like, damn, that smell like Scandy. So he's kind of thinking in his cell like, my senses wasn't never that good. But, you know, he's not really putting it together, you know. So Scandy comes down. He's hearing her walk. So now he's hearing stuff, you know, and that's kind of strange to him. But he's like, okay, you know, because he's always been Willie. When you're in a place like that, and I've heard this from different people. When you're in a lockdown, when you're in a madhouse in a place like that, there's certain sounds you could tell, like somebody you know, the way they walk, how their sounds, if you're listening, you're very sensitive to stuff like that. So you could tell that's a woman's walk versus a man's walk, or you could kind of tell the way certain people walk. You could be in a place like that so long. I'm serious, y'all, where you like, man, oh, that sound like Willie Joe. You know, you could listen to the way he walks. You know how somebody might walk. So he knows that Scandy's walk, you know, and so before she gets down there, he's kind of thinking, so he straightens up his collar, whatever like that. He's probably sitting there reading a book or knowing him crafting another weapon or something. Because Willie Earl, sometimes he'll be in the mechanic room, but he usually will sleep in his cell. But sometimes he'll sleep in the warehouse. He can sleep wherever he wants. So Willie Earl, but he got his cell closed. He knows he got enemies, so he got his cell closed. The dream team, they all assigned in different cells next to him. So Willie Earl could get them cells popped and he could get his people out if he needs be. But the thing is you come to Willie Earl's cell, you better have some gasoline or something, because you crack that cell on Willie Earl and you ain't prepared, man, it's gonna be a massacre. So Willie Earl's not too much worried, but he knows he's still in prison. Scandy's coming up, she's walking up to the cell.
Go check on B-Wing.
I thought I heard something near the showers. All right. You still awake?
Sleep don't come easy.
You got late? You still up?
Somebody gotta keep the lights on us.
You ever get tired of pretending you don't want something?
I ain't scared of how I feel.
Mechanical duty approved tonight. Let's take a ride.
Ride where?
Approved trustee detail. You earned it. I'll be right there. Ain't nobody touching you. You know I would never harm you.
Ain't been free in a while.
Just breathe. Tell me something about you. A man needs to know about his gift. Well, let me tell you about me. I grew up down a red dirt road, one street light.
Hey, Willie, what you doing? Scandy, what you doing? What you doing up here tonight? He kind of looking like, you know, Scandy, where the guards? Oh, I sent him on his way. I'm about to unlock this cell. Scandy, what you doing? You know, what is you doing? She said, you know what I'm doing. So she's unlocking the cell and opens up the cell. And Willie's still kind of like, he's still a little paranoid. You got to understand, man. So Willie's kind of like, and she said, Willie, you need to calm down. You need to really calm down. Because now his guard's up. He's kind of tensed up. So she comes and she kind of, she quiet the keys because she don't want to make too much noise. And she kind of like rubs his arms or something like that. And she said, you know, just calm down. Like, and he's kind of, his heart beating a little bit. And she said, baby, you need to calm down. Like, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to do nothing to you, whatever. He said, you really need to, I don't know what you think. I'm not a white woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm white, but, so he, like I said, he's still kind of thinking that something bad could happen naturally. She said, okay, let's go. He said, Scandy, what you talking about? She said, shh, let's get out of here. I said, what you mean get out of here? I said, you talking about go to the, she's like, no, we about to leave. I said, you gonna break me out? She said, no, we just gonna, we're gonna bring you back to the place. So now Willie's kind of starting to get suspicious. So now Willie's like, oh no, She said, Willie, I could have, don't you think if I would have did, she said, so now Scandy getting a little upset because she's feeling like Willie should trust her a little more. So now Willie kind of begrudgingly, he gets up and stuff like that. She said, come on. So she said, close the cell. So she closed the cell and she locks it. And Willie got a key to his cell too. So Scandy, she kind of looks down the hallway and stuff like that. And so now they're walking down to the, this second tier. They're walking down to the end of the hallway to the first tier. And there's like a door that goes out around the sign wherever the guards is and stuff like that. So now she's walking. Now, she didn't already escorted that guard. He's on the still on the second tier, but he's like on another wing, like on, you know, across the hall or something somewhere. So she knows that she can't see him. That's the only guard on duty. So Scandy got keys to the whole prison. So she unlocks the prison. They go through another long ass hallway. So I'll put that in there. And she's kind of looking a little bit or whatever. She knows if she gets caught, the warden ain't really going to do anything to her but give her a little tongue lashing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she don't, you know, they don't want to violate the you know, there's rules. So they go outside. Now there's another guard. There's a guard at the towers. He's a crooked guard. So as long as you pay him, he don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? That's the only guard that might know. And he knows about a lot of shit, people. There's people that come in and out that prison to do little stuff by the way of the warden or certain lieutenants and stuff like that they let people out and into the prison to do little shady shit. So, but that's kept very, very quiet. You don't just bring people in and out of the prison at all hours of the night. That's typical prison business happening in the day, but it happens. So Scandy, they walking across the yard. There's a little catwalk. And so they go and jump in Scandy's car. And Scandy, Willie Earl said, "We really going to your place?" And she said, "Baby, yes, you coming with me. I'm going to have you back in the morning." And Willie's like, "Man, she said, listen, you already too far. You know, you might as well." So they get in the car. She hop in they Chevrolet. They pull up on the house. She got this big ass house by herself, you know, because the daddy got money. So they walk in. She got corn liquor, cornbread. Like, she got him a meal. She got everything he want. He said, "Scandy, why you do me?" She said, "Listen, I spoil who I love." You know what I'm saying? So now, you know, she pouring him liquor. You know, she's basically just giving him everything. I mean, you know, he's an inmate. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that she didn't want no white man. And I guess she couldn't have a black man. This is her only way to have the man that she desires. She don't want no white man. You see what I'm saying? She don't want no white man. She don't want to marry into that. So her daddy done got her a house, a big ass house with some acres off somewhere. It's not too far from the prison though. And so they sitting up in there and they drinking, and then she drinking the corn liquor too. So now she's like, "You ain't I know a woman ain't touched you in a while." So she's giving them a back massage. And then, you know, they doing what they doing. So, you know.
My daddy, he ain't start out bad. I watched him take him away. Mama couldn't keep up with the bills. I tried cutting grass, thought I was helping. Wasn't enough. Started making wrong choices. Thought fast money was smart money. Did 3 years in juvenile. Came out thinking I was grown. 20 to life. They robbed me of my childhood, but I let anger rob the rest.
She sets the alarm, and, you know, and they have their night.
Tell me about your daddy.
Mine was complicated.
How you doing, Scandy?
All right.
You remember black at night and white in day?
Yes, sir. I had to learn early how to move different depending on where I was. At Mama's house, I was free.
That's cool.
I left Mama's house at night sometimes, and in the daytime, I had to fit some.
We already know what's going on.
A man needs to know about his gift. Well, let me tell you about me. I grew up down a red dirt road, one street light.
My roots go deeper than folks think. My mama's people Choctaw. They was here long before lines got drawn on maps, and before that, our blood traced back to Africa. History ain't neat. It mix, it bend, it survive. Some folks try to divide bloodlines like they simple, like the ground remember things. My ancestors was here in the 1700s. Some forced, some native to this land. They built roads, tilled fields, raised towns. We built this land, Willie Earl. That means something. We part of the fabric of this country.
We take a long promise.
We part of this story. We help shape this place. That matter. We ain't just background figures.
You smarter than folks give you credit for.
I just read and listen. If you build something, you got a claim to protect it. They simple.
Who is you? You the continuation. She carried songs so the story wouldn't die. Blood travel oceans.
Move different, think different, speak careful. I knew there was more.
I don't have an identity crisis. I look at my skin and know I can be an agent for my people, and it hurts. I get the worst of it. I can't defend us in plain view. My soul be in constant torment because of it. God gave me this gift of skin to protect my folks.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Willie ain't hardly Willie ain't sleep. You know, Willie ain't touched a woman, if not at all. He ain't touched a woman in years, if at all.
I been knew there was more to you.
I never had an identity crisis. I always knew who I was. But sometimes I gotta move different depending on where I stand. That don't mean my heart changed. I care about our people. I care.
You know what I'm saying? So Willie just, you know, Willie doing his thing. And they wake up in the morning and they in the bed. So now they got to get up And this is before the rooster crows. They got to get up in the morning, but they kind of overslept a little bit. So now it's like during the day. So Scandy got to call the guards. Don't let nobody out on the catwalk. Don't let nobody out on the yard. She drives in and walks in, and it lets Willie into the yard. So Willie's just kind of walking around the yard and stuff like that. The guard on the now this next guard wasn't an overnight guard. He's a new guard. So he's seeing Willie on the walking up, and he's trying to figure out why is Willie on the yard this early.
You sure we good?
Walk normal.
You don't scare easy.
I do my job, Willie, and I protect you. You hear me, my man?
That one up there ain't done watching.
Let him watch.
Scandinavia walking up on the catwalk, and the guard kind of looks at Scandinavia because he don't know this ain't the same guard. So he's looking up at Scandinavia, or looking down at Scandinavia like, what you been up to? Because I guess he didn't see. He had his back turned. Ain't no cameras. So, you know, whatever they don't see, the niggas don't see. If something happens, it didn't happen if you didn't see it. It didn't happen. This 1961. So he looks at Scandy, the guard on the tower looks at Scandy like, you up to something. And Scandy looks at him like, turn around, or like, you know what I'm saying? And so Willie goes in, knocks on the door.
With the kitchen shop, want a bond. I'm leaving.
You know how this place works. I got advantages in this system most don't, and I'm using every bit of leverage I got to make things easier for you.
You shouldn't have to risk nothing.
I love you, and I'm gonna look into what can be done about your sentence. There's appeals, technicalities. I'm not getting.
There's a guard that looks and sees it's Willie Earl. Oh, it's Willie Earl. So they let him in, and Willie goes back to doing what he's doing. He's probably going to get some breakfast. Scandy ain't done flirting. Scandy, that's Willie Earl done told Scandy's back out. Scandy walking up. She walking up as if she don't know what's going on. So she come in again, flirting with Willie Earl. You hungry? So Willie Earl's like, man, I'm not hungry, Scandy, or whatever like that. So she said, you know, I'm gonna cook you something to eat. Go take you a shower. So Willie Earl gonna take him a shower. So Willie Earl in the shower. You know what I'm saying? I get some visuals on that, like, you know, not to be on no weird shit, but you know, this the movie, man. So Willie Earl, he doing his thing, he grinning, you know, he happy. You know what I'm saying? So Willie Earl.
Tell him to come down.
You shouldn't have to risk nothing. I'm gonna look into what can be done about your sentence. There's appeals, technical.
Willie Earl in the shower, Scandy in the kitchen. She cooking him some bacon, some eggs, some coffee. And she pour him a little bit of corn liquor to get his day. You know, like, she's not trying to make him an addict, but she's trying to make him, that's her man now. She feel like, I'm trying to make him happy. So Willie Earl goes into, you know, he gets out the shower, and then he gets ready to go up to his cell and stuff like that. And I guess one of the guards seen Willie get ready to go up to his cell and put some of his stuff away or whatever. He said, hey, Scandy, won't you? Because he was going to eat in his cell. Scandy's like, no, you going to eat. You going to sit down. You going to eat with me. So Willie Earl, he sets his stuff down and whatever. Naturally, he grabs his He-Man, wraps it up, tuck it under his thing, because, you know, he don't go nowhere without his iron. You know, Willie Earl ain't leaving no iron alone. You know, he treat the iron like an ID. So Willie Earl, he go down the stairs. He walking big. You know, Willie Earl big now. Willie Earl ripped to the max. Willie Earl about big as Strawberry. Maybe bigger right now. You know what I'm saying? So Willie Earl go down there. He's walking up. He sees Strawberry and the Queen team. He shake his head at them. He's like, yeah, what's going on? Strawberry, you know, Strawberry just doing what Strawberry does. You know, Strawberry, he sees what's going on. He knows Scandy like him, you know, so, you know, Strawberry's accepting it as it is. You know, Strawberry's, you know, they still got their deal with the weapons and stuff like that. He don't really need Strawberry for a set of eyes. Willie got the dream team and he's extending it. So, you know, Strawberry ain't really tripping about nothing. And then, you know, and then Strawberry's getting older as well. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's starting to mature, and, you know, Strawberry's already like 40, 50 years old, but I'm just saying, like, so he sits down with Scandy. The guards and the other inmates are starting to see how close this is. They're like openly being, this is a white woman now. This is a white woman. She's openly doing stuff Like, she ain't really trying to hide it. Like, she just don't give a damn.
Evening, Deputy.
Evening, Rust. Smell like you've been hiding in a book again.
Keeps my mind quiet. Figured I'd come see what was cooking.
Stew's on. Grab yourself a bowl.
And Willie was like, man, we getting to be too, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, she kind of grabs his hand, rubbing on his hand, and, you know, he's like, Scandy, like, you know, you can't be doing this out in the open or whatever. She said, who gonna say something? So Scandy, she said, I got white privilege. Scandy basically like, I got white privilege. She said, well, you a woman, Scandy. She said, man, I got white privilege. I got white supremacist privilege. I do what I want. You know what I'm saying? That's her attitude. And this kind of messes things up later on for them a little bit. But, you know, like, she's in love. She kind of rubbing on his hand. And Willie Earl, you know, he's kind of like, man, you just, he said, this ain't good for me. She said, Scandy, you kind of put me in danger a little bit. She said, you know, but I love you. And so that's when she told him, like, man, I love you, Willie Earl. Like, you know, I want to figure out a way where I could get you up out of here, try to shorten your sentence to do something. Like, so he tries to pour the coffee. She won't let him. She pours it. She said, no, I serve you. You know, so the guards are kind of looking like, man, this nigga. So they're blaming Willie Earl. They're not blaming her. They're blaming him as this big brute Mandingo warrior then put a spell on this white broad. That's how they're treating it now. They're kind of looking at, they ain't saying nothing, but they're like, this nigga. So they start kind of make things a little awkward for Willie Earl. You see what I'm saying? By like little things he might do, like he might make certain orders for more parts or something like that. They do little stuff to delay it and all this. They start doing a little funny shit. And Willie Earl start feeling a certain way. But Willie Earl ain't no rat. Willie Earl don't believe he'll go into the warden. And then he ain't gonna butcher one of the guards. You know, the warden ain't gonna let him do that. Especially a white guard. You know what I'm saying? But so, you know, but Scandy is just, she's like openly doing this stuff. And Willie's kind of like, baby, you know, so now he's kind of want to kind of draw back a little bit, you know, but Scandy's feeling like she's not trying to impose herself as a guard against Willie. She knows she has the power to be like, okay, well, Willie's taking advantage or to make up a lie. She knows she has that because she got that white skin, but she's not looking at Willie like that. So Willie's trying to get her to understand, you are white. You can't do what we've been doing and get openly just doing this in front of the guards and all of this kind of stuff like this. Now, the warden still don't know that she got snuck out. So let's get to that. One night, she sneaks him out again. Now, one of these guards that was mad because Scandy is a badass broad. Scandy fine than a motherfucker. And you can see the picture. She's a nice looking broad. I mean, she's, you know, she look like a white woman, but you know, she's a black woman. She gets hot, but Scandy ain't ugly on the eyes. Scandy's a real nice looking broad. So the guards, they like that. They like her, but she don't want none of them white guards. She want Willie Earl. So, and then you got to think, Willie Earl works on her car. Willie Earl, you know what I'm saying? He can't really come to the house like that and fix on things, you know, but I mean, he can, but you know, not only during the night, but you know, Scandy ain't gonna let him work. You know, Scandy want him in that bed. She's like, I'm not about to have you work on all this kind of stuff. And so she's trying to make the best of what she can, given this nigga's a damn convict. You know, that's the situation. She's in love with Willie Earl. So the warden finds out from the guard that Scandy's been sneaking Willie Earl back to her house. The warden probably might have suspected some things, but he's not going to confirm it. The guard comes to the warden. Let me tell you what the warden does. Yeah, you know, there's something going on. You need to know about this, warden. What's going on? So the warden wants to know. And the guard's like, yeah, you know, that N-word, that nigger Willie Earl. He said, Willie Earl? What Willie Earl do? Willie Earl's been a top notch, you know, like, you know, so, you know, like, the warden is a covert race soldier to a degree. Like, he's got to mine to white supremacist ideology and fabric. You see what I'm saying? He's a white man in the Jim Crow South. So he's got to mind that, right? Despite having a black mistress and all that kind of stuff, he's got to mind that. So Willie, the warden, still looks at Willie Earl as the warden cares for Willie Earl as much as Willie Earl can do. This is a transactional situation. I'm still a white man. I still own this plantation. But the warden cares for Willie Earl to that degree. He's starting to look at Willie Earl as like an unadopted son. So he likes Willie Earl. Now, Willie Earl ain't gonna come back to his house. Willie Earl ain't gonna come for Christmas dinner. But now, if this was a different world, and this wasn't the Jim Crow South, and he didn't have to hide Willie Earl like this, I mean, like, he would probably have Willie Earl at his house. But this is the Jim Crow South. So he has to maintain white supremacist order, right? So his idea of Willie Earl is, Willie Earl, he's a prisoner, he's a convict, but over the years, he likes Willie Earl. He already liked Willie Earl, but now Willie Earl's a Negro and he's white. That's the apartheid system we're dealing with. So when the guard starts talking against Willie Earl, the warden lightweight gets offended. Well, what you saying what Willie Earl do? Because he knows Willie Earl ain't really going to do nothing that's going to mess up the business. Well, Willie Earl's messing around with that white woman. What white woman? He said, well, Willie Earl, or Earl Warden, I don't know how to tell you this. He said, stop right there. He says, you talking about Scandy? He said, yeah, Willie Earl. He said, yeah, Willie Earl been sneaking off. He said, sneak it off. He said, how long this been going on? He said, well, it's been going on a while, Warden. He said, you didn't tell me? Well, I just, so now the warden a little pissed off because he felt like he should have told him. So now he says, all right, don't tell nobody about this. He said, well, Warden, you ain't just gonna keep letting this go on. And the warden says, boy, didn't you just hear what I said? Nobody found out about this. And if anybody does, they gonna find you in a river. so that's how the warden talks. So the warden threatened him because he don't want just to just go out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't want no scandal talk or none of that kind of stuff. It's not, like I say, man, enforcing white supremacy is probably more important than anything when it comes to Mississippi. But at the same time, the race soldiers don't want no money missing. You can only enforce white supremacy with money and economics. That's the only way you could do it. So, but the warden is like, man, don't let nobody. He threatens the guard. He says, man, if anybody finds out, he said, because you're the one that knows, and it might be others. Who else knows about this? He said, well, there's a watch guard tower. He knows about it. He said, okay, he don't need to know. I know. So Warden don't go to Willie Earl. He dismisses dude. Warden's pissed off because he figured the flirting and all that kind of stuff, it'll go so far, but I don't know what the warden thought. He had to know that, and so now, but that guard don't know that that's his daughter. And he didn't tell him, as he shouldn't have.
Sir, there's been some irregularities. I believe Officer Scandinavia is getting too close to inmate Willie Earl. There may be boundary violations.
You best choose your words careful. You got proof? You focus on your tower. And leave rumor alone unless you want to.
So now he calls in Scandy.
Inmate Earl, you just best choose your words careful. You got proof of Willie Earl? You focus on your tower and leave rumor alone unless you want an evaluation on your own conduct. You pushing lines.
Scandy comes in, close the door, make sure that guard ain't around. The guard kind of eavesdropping a little bit because he was supposed to be dismissed, but the guard here. So Scandy kind of opened the door. She said, Billy Joe, gone somewhere. So he walks off, close the door. They make sure ain't nobody listening. Scandy, what you and that boy been doing? She said, I love Willie Earl. Scandy, you know what this kid, I know in the prison I know what you like and everything, but this ain't a good look.
Keep your voice down and don't call me that in here.
I'm not ashamed of who I am.
You're playing a dangerous hand.
I'm proud of who I am.
I know that, Scandy. You should be. But the world don't see it that way.
If anybody find out, she said, Daddy, ain't nobody gonna find out or whatever. And if they do, what could they do to you? She said, yeah, but so they going on and, but that's his daughter. So, like I say, he's gonna be sweet on his daughter, you know what I'm saying? But he can't explode. He can't just go off on a tirade and get the hollering and screaming. It's a secret. It's a damn secret. He can't. He can't get as mad as what he wants to or whatever. I mean, she is black, but on the surface, she's white. So he's like, well, that's his secret. So he's like, well, Scandy, what you think gonna come out of this? You get pregnant by him and how this gonna work? You know what I'm saying? Like, you get a black baby. She said, well, Daddy, I'm black. He said, I know, but So, like, this is a deeper thing because her mama is living okay. This is a secret. Her mama ain't got no husband. She's a mistress. The warden is her, you know what I'm saying? She's like a concubine of the warden. The warden got a wife, but the warden don't want to fuck his wife. The warden wants Scandinavia's mama. You know what I'm saying? That's his cup of tea. That's his thing. So, like I say, he's got clan membership connections and all kinds of, this is a white supremacist on the surface. But at night, that's what he wants. This isn't new. This is something that they would do. I hope y'all understand what I'm telling y'all. So now, Scandy's telling him, I love Willie Earl. Maybe there's some kind of way where you could shorten this sentence again. He said, I ain't the governor. She said, you could call him. So now she's got this weird thing in her mind that she gonna live happy and ever after with this serial killer werewolf nigga Willie Earl. That she don't know that he got powers and he don't know yet. So now, man, this shit. So she's like, so after what? But they done it already. So the warden's like, well, listen, man, just if y'all gonna do just keep sneaking. He said, just deal with the watchtower guard. We gonna have to keep that same guard. He knows, and he knows he's a crooked guard. But like I said, it's a lot of crooked guards and stuff. And the warden don't know everything that the guard's going on. He gonna turn a blind eye to a lot of it anyway. It's best he don't know. So the warden tells Scandy, baby, you and Willie Earl just got to keep this and whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, how many people know in the prison about y'all, and so Scandy tells him, she said, I don't tell anybody anything. She said, but I'm not shy about how I feel about Willie Earl. He said in front of the guards, and she said, yeah. She said, do you touch him? She said, I'm going to keep touching him. He said, oh, Lord, have mercy, Scandy. You just can't keep a secret. You know what I'm saying? And so she said, well, do anybody know you my daughter? She said, no, and Willie Earl don't know either. She said, well, can't you hide that from him? She said, Daddy, I'm not hiding nothing from Willie Earl. I love that man. Lord have mercy. He said, you gonna give me a heart attack, child. Like, so the warden he don't know what to do with this. He's just like, so, cause he got this. And then you got to think about it. This is a white woman with a black heart that's tired of hiding who she is. And she's a rebel. You see what I'm saying? So, she's not going to oust her as her dad. That'll destroy everything. She ain't stupid, but she's not trying to hide this stuff, man, really like that. So, so he says, oh, Scandy, just go ahead and get up out of my office. I need some time. Pour me a drink. So she pours her daddy a drink, and he's like, oh, Lord have mercy. So he's drinking. He said, Lord have mercy. Bring me the bottle. Damn it, man. Damn it, Scandy. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's that, So that's his daughter publicly in front of the white world. So you got to think, Scandy got that's his daughter in front of the white world. Now, his wife doesn't really like Scandy, because here's the secret on how it's supposed to go. The secret is that that he had a baby with another white woman. But the wife probably knows deep down inside, if you look at Scandy and really see her, something's different about her. She passed for white, but you know, so she goes back, Scandy goes back and talks to Willie Earl. The ward knows about what's going on. And then, you know, she said, I got a secret that I've been, you know, it's not that I've been lying to you, Willie Earl, but, you know, I'm just going to tell you. So they sitting down. They in the shop at this point. Willie says, all right, everybody leave. So naturally, the dream team leaves. They don't listen to anything Willie Earl says. You good, Willie Earl? He said, yeah, you see, he almost said, I'm with my woman. He had to stop. He said, you see, I'm with Scandy. All right, y'all go ahead and get up out of here. So they shut the door. Dream team ain't gonna be eavesdropping or none of that. They ain't gonna do that. So they shut the door. They might stand by the door like guards, or, you know, they go somewhere. Willie Earl kind of look around, make sure ain't nobody else listening. It's a big ass warehouse. All right, Scandy, what is it? She said, you know, the ward my daddy. So Willie's like, I figured that. She said, what? She said, you know, if you passing for white, somebody got a secret. So it don't make no never mind to Willie Earl. It actually works in Willie Earl's favor when it comes down to certain things, but on the surface level, socially. That's why I keep reiterating the apartheid, quasi-slavery, Jim Crow infrastructure to y'all. Because if that were to go out to the public, it's not something that would be beneficial to the warden.
About the warden's girl?
What about her?
Spent a lot of time over at that prison yard. She ain't married yet, right?
No ring I seen.
Folks starting to notice?
That family always walked a thin line.
Sure. There's chatter.
Town always chatter.
This one's louder.
Let them talk.
Small towns remember everything.
The relationship that he has with Scandy inside the prison works for Willie Earl, but it also brews jealousy among the inmates and the guards. The ward knows about what's going on. He's just going to take that on the chin. And he knows his daughter's black. But Warden doesn't need that information going out to the white supremacist subculture of Mississippi. Or not the subculture, the culture of Mississippi. That's not some information that he would want getting out. So he's trying to figure out how to contain it. And he just threatened a guard. So a guard might be like, okay, the warden is off code. The warden is off code. That's considered to be off code in white culture. You got a mistress, your daughter's black, you got a black mistress, and then your white daughter is fraternizing with a black convict. You see what I'm saying? That's not something, but as we know, slave owners, plantation, the wards, they do what the fuck they want. They're white. This is Mississippi Jim Crow. They do whatever they want.
That nerve showing up this late.
I needed to talk.
You always need to talk when something's slipping out of your control.
Folks in town whispering.
Folks been whispering for 30 years.
I'm trying to protect everybody.
You protecting your position.
You think I don't care?
If you cared the way you say, you choose us.
You know I can't do that.
Why?
You know what this place is. Life ain't built for us. You still love me.
That ain't never changed.
Then stop living half a life.
This Mississippi. Choices come with consequences. I'm done living quiet. Tired of standing in the shadows.
You know the circumstances.
I've been knowing the circumstances for 25 years. I am not your hidden chapter.
This town, don't forget.
It's I'm white and I say so is in full capacity in common law. So eventually what happens is Willie Earl starts feeling like it's dangerous for him if society finds out about this. So he's still sneaking off with Scandy. Scandy's starting to get more and more close. He's falling into deeper love with Willie Earl. And Willie Earl, he's getting used to her touching his hands and bringing him coffee and doing all this kind of stuff. And Willie Earl's telling her, like, he starts to fall in love with Scandy. And he's telling Scandy, like, Scandy, I love you, but this is making the guards and making people get more and more suspicious and stuff like that because we doing this out in the open. And she said, well, I don't want to hide anything. Why don't we just tell everybody the truth? He said, no. You can't do that. You're going to get me unalived. So she's like, yeah, okay. Cause she keeps forgetting. See, she thinks like a black woman. So she's like, we shouldn't have to hide nothing. She forgets sometimes because she has this open relationship in the prison to a certain degree with Willie Earl. Willie Earl has not forgot. So she's caught in a whirlwind with her emotions and her feelings. And Willie Earl, he's caught into a whirlwind with his emotion and his feelings, but he's thinking with his brain and he's not thinking with his heart. And she wants him to think with his heart. And Willie says, I will be killed if I do that. So it takes him a long time to try to get through to her. So he's kind of bringing stuff back and bringing stuff down and all that. So, like, as I told y'all, this ain't just a prison story. This is a love story. So, he's kind of just drawing back just a little bit. Scandinavia don't like it. And she's telling Willie Earl she don't like it. Like, Willie, I don't like you withdrawing from me a little bit like this. I'm in love with you. I don't care what anybody says. He said, but I understand that you're in danger the more I do this. So it kind of was breaking her heart at the same time. But then it made her love Willie Earl even more. Okay, so we're going to end this episode with another little quick story. Scandy starts trying to secretly find black lawyers around town. So now she's going into the black neighborhood. Remember, white folks can go to the black juke joints. If you white is right in Mississippi. You can do whatever you want to do. You could go hang out in the black bars. You could do that. So she's going into what is her home. Like I say, she grew up around the whites during the day, and then in the night she just go home. That's home. So everybody knows who Scandy is. You know what I'm saying? So Scandy going to the juke joints. She having a couple drinks. She's talking to the black folk. Man, I need a lawyer. But she's being discreet about it a little bit. She ain't telling everybody. And Scandy got money. Everybody went to war and all that. They all got tons of money. So she's going to the black community, or her community. So, hey, we need to find a lawyer. She's trying to figure out some kind of way to look up little loopholes and laws to try to get Willie Earl out. Y'all gonna be surprised on the direction I go. It's not gonna go how you think. Willie Earl, she does this in secret. Willie Earl don't really know this is going on. So now she's agreeing with Willie Earl at this point to not stop, but dial things back a little bit. Because you got to think, Willie Earl going over there. And so, they eventually have this conversation at night. Willie, what happens next? Like, so this is a dangerous piece that we're getting ready to talk about now. Because this is the warden's daughter. At some point, Willie Earl gonna knock her up. She's going over there, he's going over there, if not every other night. He going over there several times per week, coming out that prison. And they doing what they doing. They rawing each other out up in there. So, they have a conversation like, damn, at some point I'm going to get pregnant. And you got more times on your sentence. You know what I'm saying? So now they're trying to figure out, well, damn, because I guess they weren't thinking about it. They in the heart of the passion of love and all that, but they wasn't thinking like, well, okay, we need to talk about how we going to do this, because you going to wind up with a baby and the baby going to come out black. So how we going to have, you know what I'm saying? You can't hide it. That people gonna want to see the baby. So if you don't like necessarily leave town, so now they talking about like, well, damn, if I were to leave town, but then the warden gonna want to see his daughter. So now So they decide to go to the warden. Now the warden is trying to be real discreet about this, so he don't want to talk to Willie Earl about this. But they got to. So the warden and Scandinavia meet up at Scandy's house one night. What happens is the warden just goes over there and he parks his car around the side of Scandinavia's house so nobody can say, well, the warden was over there. They can't put nothing together that Willie, the warden, and Scandinavia was at the house at night. What is a convict with a life sentence doing at the white warden's house with his white daughter at night? That's not a question nobody wants to ask. So they meet at Scandinavia's house and they discuss what the plan is when she gets knocked up. Because it's going to happen. And then Willie Earl finds out the facts. And the warden tells him about Scandinavia's mama, his affiliations and connections with Klan. The warden kind of lays it all out about what's going on. And so, the warden's like, he kind of tells Willie, like, you know, this is Mississippi. You know the relationship between whites and blacks. So they sitting there drinking corn liquor and having a long ass 3-4 hour conversation, eating and, because at this point, man, this about to get bad. They got to figure out some kind of way to fix this. So she's like, well, I don't want to leave, Daddy. And so she's like, well, I don't want you to leave either, but you might have to go to another town. Because sometimes people would do stuff like that. When stuff like this will happen, they had to leave. White women with a black baby got to go. They can't stay in that town or they'll be shunned or whatever the hell, So, or what they'll usually do is they'll just lynch a couple black men and just say he raped her. Ida B. Wells' if you look up Ida B. Wells, the lynching horrors, her whole investigative work was about that. Black man knocked up a white woman. We can't find the black man. Oh, Jarvis did it. Jarvis raped her, and they just go and lynch a bunch of niggas and just say he raped her. That was typical. So, they come up with a plan where if Scandinavia had to leave and go to like Alabama or go somewhere else, what she would do is she would just be a black woman. She wouldn't pass for white. She would just go somewhere next door, and hope that nobody knows them or whatever like that if she were to have the baby. And then now Willie Earl, that's a long ways. He can't keep going to her house and seeing the child and all that. So they said, we just don't have to figure out this stuff as the way we go, because we don't know how this is going to plan and turn out. This is 1961. There's 62, 63, 60, getting close to 64, getting close to the Civil Rights Bill at the WOW. So that's the plan. That's the plan they had. So the next episode, you're going to see Willie Earl is going to get connected to the military contractors, and he still decides to enforce his wing against the predators. This is A block. A block's been taken over. B block is the next block that Willie Earl is, he's recruiting more little young guys, and anybody that's been attacked by predators or whatever the case may be, Willie Earl has plans of trying to get them up out of here. There you go.
This is Pomonkey's Lounge. My name is Luther Brown. This place has survived so long solely because of Mr. Willie Seabury.
My real name is Willie Seabury, but nobody know nothing about Willie Seabury. They know the Po Monkey. I've been all around all my life. I've been big enough to know what they've been calling me.
He opens it up on Thursday evenings as a juke house.
One night a week on Thursday night. Any other nights I got it a party, somebody got a party, got it rented or something. Now I can't afford to be up Friday night and Saturday night and all. They got an old man, I got to take it easy.
It's the kind of place where the blues gelled as the original American musical art form. And it's just simply a kind of place that no longer exists except here. It is a historic sharecropper shack. The building itself is probably 100 years old. He has a dress code, and you can see he doesn't want any baseball caps on sideways or backwards.
When I went to seeing how these young folks were going around in all the other clubs and things, acting a clown, I guess cancel all that.
And he doesn't want...
When it comes to Robert Billboard Walker, ain't nothing he can't do with a guitar. That's why ain't nobody never been able to pick up these styles and things that I got. I'm Robert Bilbo Walker, and I'm a legend of the blues. And I always, from a little boy on up, I always wanted to be looked at. I want everybody looking at me. I wanted to be one of the guys that everybody said, there he is. That's what inspired me to really make me want to be a musician.
The cool thing about Bilbo Walker is that he grew up in the same Mississippi Delta blues environment as like Charlie Patton or Robert Johnson or Muddy Waters or Howlin' Wolf or B.B. King. And when he performs, it feels like that. It is like a living fossil.
This is one of the Light City. It's not really a nightclub, it's more like a juke joint. It's what the people love down in Mississippi.
It's out there in the boonies, not even a town, it's just out in a field. And I also love the fact that it's just so hard to find right till you're at it.
I didn't want to open in town because town, they got too many roofs. Out here, we ain't got no roof. From the ground up from scratch, that's right. We built it here and put it on the ground.
It's an old Army barracks, Quonset hut, cut in pieces, moved onto his property himself. A real authentic juke joint is going to be African-American owned because it comes out of that culture. And it's going to probably have a big personality behind it.
Well,